says the probability of relatedness is 96.7%. You didn't believe there'd be a match.
No way.
Do you have a secret sister?
I believe I do have a sister out.
Janet Jackson keeps her private life very secret. Many people will never know what really happened to her when she was a young star. She worked in Hollywood and the music business, but so much stays hidden. There's one big mystery that fans really want to solve. Did Janet Jackson have a secret baby? This question won't go away. Back in the 1980s, people saw Janet looking pregnant. Then suddenly she wasn't pregnant anymore. Nobody talked about what happened. Janet says there was no secret baby. She calls it a crazy story that isn't true. But people who knew about her messy love story with James DeBarge tell a different story. They say Janet did have a baby. She had to give the child away because she was too young. Her singing career was also becoming very successful at that time. Is this story real? What do James and his family think? They might know if Janet kept a child away from them all these years. The Jackson family has many secrets. Janet's life as a young, talented star could fill many books. She also seemed to choose the wrong men to date. In the 1980s, she made some very bad choices about boyfriends. These choices caused problems for her later. One example happened in 1983 with Magic Johnson. Photographers took many pictures of them together. The cameras even caught them kissing. At first, nobody said much about it. But when these photos came back in 2020, people got very angry. Magic Johnson was 24 years old, but Janet was only 16. Where were the adults who should have stopped this from happening? Then there was another big mess with Rene Elizondo Jr. He was a dancer and director. Janet married him secretly in 1991. It's amazing how she kept their marriage hidden for so many years. Even when people started to guess, her team lied. They said Rene was just her boyfriend, nothing more. We probably would never have found out if their divorce hadn't become public. Rene wanted money from her fortune, and that's when everything came out. Before Rene came into Janet's life, she was married to someone else. His name was James DeBarge. Janet was becoming famous as the youngest member of the Jackson family. Everyone knew the Jacksons were music legends. She was already acting in TV shows like Good Times and Different Strokes. James came from the DeBarge family band. They worked with Motown Records and made beautiful songs. People loved their hits like Rhythm of the Night, All This Love, I Like It, and Love Me in a Special Way. Janet and James first met in 1982. She was only 16 years old and he was 19. 2 years later, in 1984, they fell deeply in love. They wanted to get married right away. So they ran away together and had a secret wedding in Grand Rapids, Michigan. James's uncle was a minister and he married them. Did Janet really love James? Maybe she did. But there was a bigger reason why she married him so quickly. Janet wanted to run away from her father, Joe Jackson. Joe was very strict and controlled everything Janet did. She thought marriage would give her freedom. Joe Jackson got very upset when he found out about the wedding. He worried that being married would hurt Janet's singing career, but Joe didn't need to worry too much. This marriage was going to fail right from the beginning. James had a very serious drug problem. This made their relationship very dark and sad. In 2022, Janet made a documentary about her life. She talked about their terrible wedding night. When they got to their hotel room, James left her alone. He said he would come back soon, but he was gone for 3 whole hours. This showed Janet what her married life would be like. Janet tried very hard to help James. She cared more about him than her own career sometimes. She would get phone calls to come pick him up from strange places. When James didn't come home, she had to go look for him everywhere. While Janet was filming the TV show Fame, James's problems made her late for work. She couldn't focus because she was always worried about James. The people making the show had to talk to her. They told her she needed to think about her job more. Living with James's drug addiction was too hard for young Janet. His behavior changed all the time, and she never knew what would happen next. The stress was too much for her to handle by herself. When Janet found drug pills around their house, she tried to help. She would hide the pills or throw them in the toilet. This made James very angry with her. They fought about this many times. By March 1985, Janet couldn't take it anymore. Only 8 months after their wedding, she wanted to end the marriage. She asked for an annulment and said they had too many problems that couldn't be fixed. The marriage was finished. Janet was only 18 years old, but she had already been through more difficult times than most people experience in their whole lives. But the story doesn't end there. The real drama was just starting. people began talking about something very interesting. They said Janet didn't leave the marriage the same way she entered it. During those few months when they were together, Janet might have gotten pregnant. Some people think she had the baby or gave it away. Janet always says she never had a secret child. But remember, she also kept her marriage to Renee hidden for 9 whole years. If she could lie about being married for that long, then hiding a baby would be very easy for her. Do you remember what the 1980s were like? Celebrity news was everywhere. Magazines like the National Enquirer made money by writing about famous people's problems. Young stars had to be very careful, especially black performers like Janet Jackson. They needed to look perfect and clean if they wanted to keep working. Getting pregnant when you're young, even if you're married, could end your career immediately. The Jackson family already knew how to handle the media very well. They would know exactly what to do if Janet had a baby. This is probably why nobody ever saw any proof of a child. Janet keeps saying there was no baby between her and James DeBarge, but other people think something strange happened with that story. Some people clearly remember reading about Janet's pregnancy in magazines like Right On and Jet magazine. But then those stories just disappeared completely, like they were never written. People also noticed that after the Jet magazine article came out, Janet vanished from public view. Many months later, she came back with a new album called Control. Maybe the album title was telling us about the kind of control and limits that were put on her life. Even though Janet stayed quiet about the baby rumors, James DeBarge had plenty to say about it. James DeBarge started talking about this secret openly. He first talked to Conrad Murray, who was Michael Jackson's doctor. James said he might have a child with Janet that he never knew about. Later, when James was in prison, he appeared on a TV show called Growing Up Hip Hop. He talked to his daughter Christina about this mystery. James told Christina he was getting tired of keeping secrets about a child he thought he had with Janet. James said something very clear. "I'm tired of the truth not coming forward and people being a coward when it comes to it. I thought that it was wise of me to speak out now because it needs to be addressed." Christina, James's daughter, believes her father completely. She thinks she has a half-sister somewhere in the world. Christina is excited about the possibility of meeting this sister someday. She really wants to find her. Christina also said something very important about Janet's situation. She thinks that giving away a baby might not have been Janet's choice at all. Christina believes Janet's powerful family made the decision for her. The Jackson family had a lot of control over Janet's life, especially when she was young. This makes the story even more interesting. If Christina is right, then Janet might have wanted to keep her baby. But her family probably thought it would hurt her career, so they made Janet give the child away, even if she didn't want to. This would explain why Janet has always denied having a secret child. Maybe she was told to keep quiet about it forever.
You'll find out when she's ready for you to find out.
I'm sure he feels betrayed. I'm sure he feels sad. I'm sure he feels disappointed. I'm sure he feels like he was robbed of that relationship with his daughter. But at the same time, I know my dad loves Janet till this day. I know that her family had a huge influence on her. And, you know, if she was pregnant, the only thing that I can think of was that they felt that she still had a very long career ahead of her, and they didn't want anything to hinder.
James DeBarge still believes they have a child together, and he won't accept anything different. But Janet has always denied this. In her 2022 documentary, Janet Jackson, she spoke directly about the rumors and shared her side of the story.
Saying that I had a child and I kept it secret. How could I keep a child from their father? I could never do that. That's not right.
She explained that people started guessing she was pregnant when she began taking birth control pills while filming Fame in 1984. The pills made her gain weight. At that time, she was only 19, trying to manage her rising fame and a new marriage. But the public misunderstood her weight gain and thought she was having a baby. Her Fame co-star Debbie Allen supported her story. She said Janet was on set every day, working long hours, and there were no signs that she was pregnant.
Where was the baby? Nobody saw a baby. I mean, she was there with us all day, every day. Where was the baby? Where?
But did you catch what Janet actually said? She never clearly said there was no child. Instead, she said it wouldn't be right to keep a child away from James. This answer made people think she wasn't telling them everything. Her words actually made people believe the rumors even more. The gossip became so crazy that people started guessing which child might be Janet's secret baby. Some people pointed to Brandy Jackson, who is Janet's niece. Brandy is the daughter of Janet's brother Jackie. She was born in 1982, which would make her about the same age as Janet and James's supposed child. This timing made people think that maybe Janet gave her baby to Jackie to raise as his own daughter. Other fans had a different idea. They thought the secret child might be Stevana Jackson, who was Randall's daughter. People said it was easy to see why they thought this. Stevana looks incredibly similar to Janet. She also looked exactly like how people imagined Janet and James's daughter would look. The DeBarge family keeps adding more stories to support these rumors. In 2017, James's sister Bunny DeBarge spoke out about what she remembered. Bunny said she personally saw Janet looking pregnant in the 1980s. She was completely sure about what she saw. Bunny insisted that everyone in the DeBarge family believed Janet and James really did have a child together. She thought the child was raised somewhere private, away from newspapers and cameras. Maybe the Jackson family raised the child, or maybe another family member took care of the baby. Not having any contact with this child has always made the DeBarge family very upset and angry. They feel like they lost a family member and were never allowed to know their own relative.
Did you ever see Janet where you thought she was pregnant?
Yes, when the marriage was annulled, that Janet was pregnant. And James believed that as well.
You believe that there's a child.
I think we all believe that James and Janet had a child.
James hasn't stopped looking for his daughter. He still dreams about meeting her someday. But maybe he should stop hoping for something that might never happen. Janet doesn't like talking about her personal life. She only speaks about very few topics that she chooses herself. Some people think Janet might have lost the baby before it was born. This could explain why she keeps everything so secret. Maybe she doesn't want people asking questions about something that still hurts her. Remember, Janet lied about being married for many years. We only found out the truth because her ex-husband Renee told reporters about it. So Janet definitely knows how to keep huge secrets. If she can hide a marriage for that long, she could certainly hide a baby too. Back in those days, it was pretty normal for young women and teenagers to have babies and then give them to family members to raise. Families kept these kinds of secrets together, and nobody outside the family ever knew. Even though I'm a big janet Jackson fan, I really think the whole Jackson family has lots of secrets that the world will never know about. What do you think about all this? Could this just be a big coincidence?